a little bit of wheel spin, and when you don't be very sensitive to the throttle there, you're going to have this snap oversteer. So you have to be very careful on the speedway turns. You have to be very precise and concentrated on the road course part. So I think it's going to be a tricky race, and those guys who have the best shape of concentrating and consistency will be the guys at front here today.
So there we go. You can see the grid that's on the left-hand side of your screen. Andre Castro sits on pole position. Jeffrey Ruffin alongside. Andreas Jochumsen on row number 2 with Alessandro Brigatti and Davide Dallara and Alain Muscaron, I think, are there on the 3rd row of the grid. One driver who I've been particularly impressed with his qualifying, and he's one of the track marshals from Valencia that's driving the Valencia Speedway car in this one, the Circuit Ricardo Tormo Ford Silla car, and that is Claudio Sabatini, who is one of their track marshals. If you notice, he's on the 4th row of the grid. He qualified 7th quickest, one of our Orange Army. You know, we talk about wanting to get back motor racing, but as a track marshal, without them, Andre, we can't go motor racing anyway.
Excuse me, I haven't heard the question right now.
Oh, that's okay. I was talking about Claudio Sabatini, who drives the Circuit Ricardo Tormo Ford Silla Ford. We talk about wanting to go back racing. Here's one of the track marshals at Circuit Ricardo Tormo. Without them, we can't go racing at all.
Absolutely right. Those guys are passionate for motorsports. I bet a lot of them would be racing drivers by themselves if they have the opportunities, but they're living motor racing by doing their job as a track marshal. Everybody, the fans, the teams, the drivers, everybody should respect those guys because they're doing it in their free time. They don't get any big money for it. They're doing it because they love motor racing. So they're a big part, and without track marshals, we would not have any race on that sport. So a big thank you to all track marshals around the world for doing this phenomenal job.
Absolutely. Corner workers, as are known in America. What an opportunity for Claudio Sabatini to rub shoulders with some of EuroNASCAR's elite. So they are on their rolling lap. This is a 10-minute race. Once we get the 10 minutes out of the way, we'll grab a quick word with the top 3 before we then very quickly, or quick word with the winner at least, before we then very quickly move on to heat number 2 and heat number 3. All of those are 10 minutes long. Even the last chance qualifying race is 10 minutes long. The main race, which will contain 36 drivers, 10 from each heat, plus the 6 out of the last chance qualifier. That will be a 30-minute affair and will carry maximum championship points for whoever wins that one. There's no championship points for the heats. So the cars are just making their way up onto that back section of the circuit that Andre was talking about, where at full speed it's very, very easy to get the car spinning its wheels, and you just need to contain your enthusiasm to plant your foot into the footwell of the car, and away we go for the first heat. Andre Castro gets a good run on Jeffrey Ruffin as they head over the start finish line. There's contact further back, and already there's a couple of cars around by the look of things. I have a feeling that Alessio Bacci was one of those that got tangled up. Andre Castro leads the pack from Jeffrey Ruffin in 2nd place, and Alessandro Brigatti is sitting there in 3rd at the moment. It's Andreas Jochumsen in 4th as we go on board with the 5th place car, Alex Fontana for 42 Racing. Looking at the car that lies ahead, Andre Jochumsen. They're all safely through the first couple of corners. The Italian looking forward to the Swedish driver that lies ahead of him, and now we're onto that infield section as they head round through turns numbers 3, 4 and 5, which just continually seem to sweep, Andre, don't they? The first part of the circuit through turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 all blend together before they finally head down this straight out of turn number 6 and down towards the left-hand turn 7.
Yes, right. And that's what I told you. It was this technical section on the track. You have to be very careful. I think it's very hard to pass here. I know a lot of the drivers tell that about every track on the world, but I think this track in particular is very hard to overtake our opponent. You have seen it with Jeffrey Ruffin now. He tried to overtake Andre Castro, but it didn't work out. So now they're going back to the speedway part. I love the Indy 500 and the Brickyard NASCAR races here. And it's a little bit strange to see the cars going on the right-handed turn on that part.
It is, yeah. It's all that Speedway 1 is the final corner, really, here on the road course, but it works. Built in 2000 for Formula 1, of course, this infield section. Andre Castro still continuing to lead the race at this stage. He has had a heat win, has Andre Castro. He took one of those both at Daytona on the road course at the prologue, and he took one at Brands Hatch as well. Those are his 2 wins so far, both coming in heats. Alex Fontana has got his hands rather full. He's got Claudio Sabatini, the track marshal from Valencia, ahead of him at the moment, and it looks as though Ruben Garcia has also managed to sneak through there and ahead of Alex Fontana, who is tumbling down through the order with a potential problem, I fear, for that car, but some of the fighting on further down through the order is fantastic, and it includes a couple of drivers we would have thought to seen a little bit further up. But Adbek Dioda, the Indian, is only down in 10th position, car number 31, and down in 11th place is the Swiss driver who was runner-up in EuroNASCAR 2 last year. Number 18, Giorgio Maggi, is only just ahead of this car here, Francisco Garisto, that we look at, who sits down there in 12th place. So there's some cars that are not quite where I would have thought they ought to be, and that now includes Alex Fontana, who has tumbled down through the order to 15th position, Andre. So he's tumbled all the way down through the order, back to the race leader. Andre Castro still continuing to lead. He had just under half a second between himself and Jeffrey Ruffin last time through. The American leads, but sitting in second place is the crew chief for the number 7 Hendricks Motorsport car. Races himself though, Jeffrey, both in esports, and has done a fair chunk of racing on the ovals over in mainland Europe. Great fight going on for third and fourth place. Alessandro Brigatti under pressure from Andreas Jochumsen. At the moment though, the Dane can't find a way through and ahead of the Italian, so he's just got to concentrate his efforts and see whether he can squeeze his Chevy ahead of the similar car that lies ahead. These start to build again now as they start to head round through the final couple of corners, and then can start to accelerate their way down that big long straight once more. Already 4 minutes into this race, and now Jochumsen is having a quick look at Alessandro Brigatti. He's got the nose at the inside. He's going to be able to squeeze his way through as they head onto the straight. So that is a change to third and fourth place. You said it wasn't easy to overtake there, but he's got the car position correctly, Andre, and then after that then there was not a great deal that Brigatti could do to close the door.
Yeah, right. Yes, it was a perfect maneuver. You have to be very precise, like I told you, and you have to be very cautious, and I think that did a very good job here taking this position. I think we're going to have a great battle for the 10th place. Right, we're still in 10th, Giorgio Maggi is behind him, and I think Maggi will try to do everything to close that gap, because the 10th place is the last secure spot for the main race to get championship points. So Maggi out of the competition right now. When he stays in 11th, he has to go through last chance qualifier. I think that is not a position a runner-up in the EuroNASCAR 2 championship wants to be.
No, he won't be happy with that, but I'll tell you who will be happy, and that's the driver that's there in 7th place at the moment, our track marshal from Riccardo Tormo, Claudio Sabatini, doing fantastic things. He is keeping a 2 times Mexican NASCAR champion behind him at the moment. Ruben Garcia Jr. is behind Claudio Sabatini. There's something for him to dine out on at the end of this evening. Sabatini's behind this car here, Davide Dallara, who sits there in 6th position. Davide Dallara is trying to close up on car number 299, which is Alan Muscaron, who is the reigning EuroNASCAR club champion from last year. Did a bit of karting prior to that. Fontana's dropped through the order to 15th, has seen him climb back up now to 11th. So this is the fight that you were talking about. Adbek Dioda running wide, coming out of turn number 6. That is going to allow Alex Fontana to draw himself alongside. Dioda has the inside line for the next corner, which is a left-hander. The Ford and the Chevy side by side. Who's got the inside line? It's Dioda. Can he hang on to it? Yes, he can on the way into the corner, but as they now come out of turn number 8 and up towards turn number 9, he's having to work overtime here to hold up Alex Fontana. Giorgio Maggi is queuing up as well, and Scott Jeffs is the blue car with the white stripe that sits behind. So this, well picked out, is a great fight. 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th positions, Andre.
Yes, right, and this is the fight for the last spot for the moment. Adbek Dioda is under pressure right now. Different very strong drivers behind him, just waiting for a single mistake by the Indian driver. I know we have a crash there. Who was the guy?
Alex Fontana.
Alex Fontana, yes. And that's what I wanted to say. One single mistake and everything's over for you. And now Adbek Dioda with a big moment. He's sliding into the grass, and this could be the chance for Giorgio Maggi right now.
It could be, and Giorgio Maggi gets on the throttle low, but he's left the door open, and Scott Jeffs is now trying to feed his way through, but it's Deodo who's sideways heading through the next corner. The tail end of the Cal Racing Chevy does not want to play ball, and now it's nearly 3 wide, heading up to the next corner. Contact between Scott Jeffs and Advait Deodo, pitches Advait Deodo round into a spin. Onto the brakes goes Giorgio Maggi to try and avoid the contact. Well, the inevitable was going to happen there. 4 cars all busy squabbling away for the final place to automatically get through into the main race, and at the moment that has now, with 3 minutes to go, gone the way of that number 90 car for Brax Racing. The British driver Scott Jeffs is now up into 10th position. Saw him racing in both EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2 last year. He might be in 10th for the moment, but Alex Fontana is hugely keen to try and pick his way back up through the order. He's the test driver for 42 Racing, back towards 6th and 7th places. This is Davide Dallara, who is busy squabbling away with the car that's ahead of him, actually, so it's for what will be 5th and 6th places. It's Alan Muscaron that's ahead. Davide Dallara sitting there in 6th place. Doesn't matter where you look, close battles are on, and we have seen this week after week after week, and that is probably why we've seen 4 different main race winners out of the 4 races that we've had so far, if you include the prologue event at Daytona. Muscaron under pressure. Davide Dallara almost got himself alongside there, but couldn't quite make it stick. So the Not Only Motorsport Chevy has to tuck back behind again into 6th position, and if he watches in his mirrors, he's got the Circuit Ricardo Tormo Fordzilla Ford of Claudio Sabatini right behind him at this stage. Sabatini, what a debut in the series he's having.
Yes, just incredible to be a rookie in this series with this high level of competition, and then being able to get into the top 10 of the first heat you ever driven in those cars at that track in this series is just phenomenal. And I think he's really feeling like a real race car driver right now, not negative, not in a negative way, not just the guy standing there with the flag. So I think being part of the action right now in this case in the virtual world is something very special for him, and I would love to see him in the main race.
I would love to see him through into the main race. I'm guessing he does a fair amount of esports. Well, he is certainly proving that he is more than a match for some of the very experienced both esport drivers in this field and the NASCAR drivers as well. Alan Muscaron in 5th place heads back around the circuit. Here's Giorgio Maggi now. Now, he was the runner-up in the EuroNASCAR 2 championship last year. Remember, he had to dive on the brakes to avoid making contact with Advait Deodo when he was pitched into a spin. But Giorgio Maggi is not heading through into an automatic qualification spot here with 30 seconds to go. He is looking as though he may well be heading into the last chance qualifying race. Vladimir Choitsis going well as well. He recently had a birthday last week. Choitsis, he's been a busy guy e-racing. Races for Race Art Alex Caffey. Let's just have a quick look what we can look back at here. Francesco Garisto heading up towards turn number 1, and yeah, the Italian just loses the tail end of the Ford as he pitches it into the corner. Sort of a half spin, and then as he rejoins, contact was made there, and it looks as though that was Alan Muscaron and Claudio Sabatini that sort of got tangled up whilst they were trying to avoid the spinning car. So that's shuffled the order again once more. It now means that Claudio Sabatini is 7th. Ruben Garcia there that we are looking at is in 8th place, and Ruben Garcia is under pressure from the 9th place car, the black car with the orange numbers down the side of it, Davide Dallara. But the 10 minutes have now elapsed, which means that Andre Castro, who still continues to lead, by the way, by nearly 0.8 of a second, is on course for another victory by the look of things, and that would mean that is 3 heat victories for him. If we include the prologue, we jump back on board with Davide Dallara. The one thing he won't want to do is make a mistake as he sits there in 9th place in automatic qualification to head straight through into the main race. The checkered flag's already been taken by Andre Castro. Jeffrey Ruffin finishes in 2nd place. Andreas Jochimsen comes through and finishes in 3rd place, with Alessandro Bugatti in 4th, Alan Muscaron in 5th. Vladimir Choitsis, what a run from him. He finishes in 6th place. That's his best heat finish, I think, so far. Claudio Sabatini, hats off to our track marshal from Circuit Ricardo Tormo. He is automatically through into the main race, as is that car there, Ruben Garcia Jr. And then for the final couple of places, it is Davide Dallara and Scott Jeffs that finish in 9th and 10th position. Poor old Giorgio Maggi is going to have to fight it out in the last chance qualification race. So Andre Castro has done here on the Indianapolis road course exactly what he did on the Daytona road course for our prologue event, and the same as he did at Brands Hatch as well. He has won his heat. He is one of the winners in the main race as well. He won the main race on the Daytona road course. There was a bit of a bump and run there on the final lap to grab that victory, which didn't impress the man who was leading at the time, which was Alan Day. But Andre Castro has started this evening as he would want to continue, Andre, with a win. Can he back it up with another win in the main race? We'll find out, won't we?
Yes, he's one of the favorite drivers here. He's so consistent during the whole season. He has the right aggression. He has the abilities to drive one of those NASCAR Cup cars in a simulation. And we had a big update the last weeks. The tire model was a little bit improved. The damage model was improved. There were several different little details that were improved by iRacing. That's why we weren't able to race last week. But with all those improvements, it also meant that the drivers had to adopt to the new style because, of course, it changed the cars a lot.